Hi, good day, everyone. Um, I am here with my friend, my sister. Um, I'll let her introduce herself, Isha, but she's going to introduce herself in a second. We are here with Coach's Corner. We have created a platform, and we call it Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner is where we'll get together and we're going to talk, and we're just going to talk about things in life, things that we experience, that people experience, that our clients experience. We are both coaches. We are both professional, certified professional life coaches. And so we work together and we hold each other accountable for our goals and what we do. And we came together to provide you with a little information and to talk with you and hopefully to be with you. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was a good thing to say at the end
I
there,
think it
but
went perfect.
But I am Rashida Muslim. I am a life coach. I am a mother. I am a wife. You may hear my daughter screaming in the background. She's 3, almost 3 in May. And so, there's nothing that I can do without her. So if you hear her, please know that life continues and we are so blessed. So I'll turn it over to my fellow coach, Aisha.
Thank you so much, Rashida. Um, hey, everyone. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. This is our first video, so y'all bear with us because we're both like, okay, we're trying to make sure that we're staying professional, but hey, we're just being honest. We're both at home, so we have our distractions like most people are during COVID right now.
Yeah.
Um, Either way, we're still going to get this content out. We're still going to discuss some topics that hopefully that a lot of you can identify with or relate to. I am a certified life coach. Honestly, that my niche or my focus in my coaching is pertaining to coaching for kings. I generally, most of my clients are Black men who need assistance in different areas of their life. But in relation to coaching with Black men, it's full circle of the problems that exist within women in our community. So you can't have one without the other. And a lot of the issues that come with Black kings a lot of times steer from the issues that are pertaining to Black women. So our first topic we're tackling is going to be centered around Black women. What's our exact our topic, Rashida? How are you going to word it? Because you word it better than me.
We are going to be talking about women, the insecurities that women deal with,
Ooh, yes.
and how women relate to other women, excuse me. So, like the relationship of women to women. That's going to
Right.
be our first topic today on Coach's Corner. And so, we hope you enjoy our take on these topics.
Now, before we get started, is it okay or are you comfortable, Rashida, if I set an intention for us and for our viewers and everybody about what our intention is for this particular taping? Is that okay with you?
Oh yes, because that's what we do. We
Okay.
first set our intentions and then we work
Perfect.
towards that.
Okay, perfect. So I just
Yes.
wanted to, and hopefully with all our viewers too, I didn't plan out my intention, so I'm just going to speak from the heart. But I set our intention that we provide clarity to the people who are watching this, that we touch some topics that you can identify with and relate to, and hopefully you can be able to start to identify your personal behavior and maybe self-limiting beliefs that come, I'm trying to find the best way to say it, but that affect you in your relationship with other women. So I set my intention in love, and I set my intention in us having fun, and I set our attention and been able to assist whoever I guess, receives or watches this video. So know that we're here as sisterhood and brotherhood, because men, this is important topic for men to understand also, because we're all interrelated. So these are
Yes.
intentions I set from you and for us today.
Yes. And I second those intentions wholeheartedly.
Okay.
So I also would like to note, because I didn't say it in my introduction, I my intentions with my coaching is to work with Muslims who are struggling in faith and who are struggling to be active in Muslims, so to speak. Specifically with Muslims who were born into a family practicing Islam, left the practice, and then decided to return to the practice, because I am one of those. And so I would like to provide, it's tough, it's not easy. It actually a struggle for me for over 7 years, but that's a whole nother topic. But that's my goal with my coaching. I do work with women and I have worked with men. So yeah, we're about living life and living life to the fullest, being your best self.
You know
So
that's what my
let's
name means. You know that's what my name means. Living life to the fullest. Life. That's what Aisha means.
Aisha. Yes, one of the
Oh.
best names.
So I'll tell her, I was like, oh, I like that. Yeah, that's it. That is what we're about.
Yes, I came across a post on Facebook where a woman said that, she got it from somewhere else, where you take the meaning of your name and you
Mhm.
make a whole sentence from it, an
Oh,
introductory sentence.
nice.
So um, my name is Rashida Umil Hayir Muslim. And so I, I say, hi, I am wise and intelligent, rightly guided, mother of goodness, who submits her will to God.
Wow.
And that's your introduction.
Girl, let me go play with mine first, then I'll come back with something that sounds better.
Yeah, so
I
on
like
the
that.
topic of women out there, take your name, go look at your name and see what your name means. Create
Yeah.
that sentence, and let's start, securing ourselves to who we are. One thing
Yes.
that we're going to talk about is women and our insecurities.
Ding, ding, ding. Who
Yes,
wants to
yes.
discuss their insecurities? No one.
Something we don't like to speak of as women, but what do you think? What do you think?
Okay, so I do ask that you, when you watch this video or any video, that you have grace with yourself and that you understand that there's subjects and topics that are so uncomfortable. And a lot of times we live our life as a victim and in denial. And we don't want to be the person who we despise or think are weak or think, oh, I don't have insecurities. I'm secure. That's like I've said that so many times. I mean, I haven't said I don't have it, but I'm like, I'm confident, I'm secure. I can't stand insecure women. They get on my nerves, or insecure men. But in reality, and then when you start to really face and you look yourself in the mirror and you face your goods, your bads, your uglies, your I don't and it's not even, I don't even know if I'm saying, I gotta find a different way of expressing that. But when you really face yourself, you face your human self, you face your trauma. Um, every human being on this earth has some form of insecurities. That's just, it's natural.
Yeah.
Um, now, the point of this and what we're trying to do with our help and healing in our environment, in our communities, in our families, is to point out those insecurities that doesn't serve you and to try to heal them and release them, or at least understand where this is coming from. So sometimes it's steps. You're not ready all the time to release your insecurities immediately, and that's okay. But to be able to identify where it comes from, and so you could sit with it, and you're like, oh, this emotion came up again. Oh, I felt this way, or somebody triggered me.
Yeah.
Life is selfish, and nothing in life is about anybody else. It's all internalized. It's all comes from you. So when you don't like somebody, usually it's because it comes from within. People
The
don't like to
why.
admit that, they don't like to admit that. But that's why it's so important to maybe tackle insecurity before we even start to discuss our relationships with other women. Now, insecurity is such a huge topic. We're probably just gonna have to touch on some of that to get to the other part of our topic in a short amount of time because we can talk about it for all day.
Yeah.
But um, every woman I know, for the most part, I have heard them say in some form of fashion of how they don't trust women. They've had very scarring conversations, been hurt by other women, um, even women in their family, sometimes even coming from their mothers, which is very unfortunate, or grandmothers. And that's when we start to identify those beliefs that I can't trust women. Or if a woman feels like, oh, maybe other women are jealous of me, or I happen to have this type of body, or this type of light when I enter the room, or this type of beauty, or this type of confidence. And they received a lot of flack from that from other women, so it developed this whole barrier they put up. And it's just like, it's just me, I don't need anybody else, or I only got this one girlfriend and I'm not willing to go out and meet new women because I can't trust any new woman. And well, you really just start to break that down. You're like, well, where does that come from? And if you were to ask yourself that, Rashida, where do you think that first stems from or comes from? Or if you are had any experiences like that in your life and you start to pay attention to it and identify it and work around it, where did that come from for you?
Well, so first, it was about understanding, recognizing that you feel insecure, recognizing that some of your behaviors are a demonstration of how you live in a sense of feeling insecure. So really recognizing that first then helps you to, you know, go to where that insecurity comes from. So for me, I always thought my insecurity came from, some traumas that I experienced that had nothing to do with women. And so I would always, blame how I felt less than on those things. But then as it came to light that my insecurity may be based on my relationship with other women,
Mm.
there was some things that I had to examine, which was very difficult because it meant examining my relationship with my mother, my relationship with my sisters, my relationship with my friends, friends that I've had over the years, and why certain dynamics existed in those relationships, and what was my role in those dynamics and why. So I think that the insecurity that I see, that I can speak to in myself, comes from generational trauma, actually. We we always, I wholeheartedly believe in generational trauma. But I say but because a lot of people don't like, it's taboo to focus on generational trauma, especially generational trauma that stems from slavery. And it's like, oh, it happened so long ago, hundreds of years, blah blah blah. We're not doing this, we're not doing that. But if you have if you think of, I'm just thinking of a movie, but I'm sure it's reflective of life. When societies, like, how they had the situations where the gladiators would fight in situations or whatever. One gladiator would try to spawn another gladiator and try to spawn another gladiator, or one king will try to, spawn a king and another king and another king. So you're teaching these people how to be from generation through generation through generation,
I
and
like
it's
that
it's
knowledge.
it's behavior, it's thought, and it's experience. So to say, slavery didn't do that to us Black Americans, the United States of Americans, um, is just, to deny who we are,
Mm.
basically. So
Now,
I look at it as a generational experience of the women in my family and how that generational experience passed to me, such as not being able to associate with the patriarchal side of the family, you know, as early as, excuse me, that's my child, you may hear, not being able to, you know, have that relationship with the male side of the family. It's something that, you know, passed down through slavery, and how that affects a woman. It leaves her with a void, and she doesn't know, you know, how to gather herself. It leaves her with a void of not being able to select men, and it leaves her with a void of not being able to see, you know, her value.
mm,
You know, people would be like, oh, why are you trying to see your value in the relation of a man? But that's just a lie. You
yeah,
know, your value is in relation to a man, because that's how our creator created us.
right.
And that's okay. When man needed something, our creator created a woman. And so it's okay to value yourself in your relationship with a man. Not that, now if that turns out negative, then that's a whole nother story. But
Right.
the reason
I
why it
think
becomes negative is because of that trauma that women experience. And
right.
then that trauma makes them, you know, devalue themselves. And then you sprout from a whole place of, you know, just not a negative foundation. And that's, you know, what I've seen personally.
Right.
And I'm, you know, I can hold that. I can live in that space, because living in that space allows me to be like, you know, property brothers. It gives me that foundation that I can see where it can go and how beautiful it can be. So
Okay.
that's kind of my experience there with insecurity.
Well, thanks for sharing.
And
And
then
then,
I like
being-
to add, I like to add personally how I see how my insecurities affect my daughter. You know, I
right,
have a 3-year-old daughter, but I also have a 23-year-old daughter. And
right,
she was witness to a lot of my insecurities. So
right.
that's another generation, not just, you know, me witnessing it, but my daughter excuse me, witnessing it through me, and seeing how she has to battle that, you know, as she is a 23-year-old woman. You know, it's something that we have to deal with and discuss how my insecurities impacted her. So that's kind of what I mean by generational trauma with women and insecurities.
Girl, you said a mouthful. No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for being open and vulnerable. Just to let y'all know, we didn't pre-record anything, so when we're speaking from the heart. So just
Yeah.
have grace. Sometimes I can't find the words that are in my head. So,
Yeah.
but okay. So, whoa, you said a mouthful. Okay, so for me, when you're speaking about generational trauma that's passed down, of course, we have our behavioral trauma, we have our learned behavior, but scientifically proven DNA passes down trauma through generations.
Yeah.
So let's just say, with the idea of that, um, in slavery, which I do believe where a lot of this stems from, because that's the root of us African Americans in the US. Um, every single woman and man, but we're speaking on woman right now, has been touched of sexual trauma. Now, let me explain that, because the way that we were created was through rape most of the time in slavery. Like, look at my skin color, I'm Black. Let's see where that comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, like, reality. So even the trauma that we can't touch on right now, or we may not know specifically, even though we all know that most of our mothers and grandmothers and sisters and aunts and everybody ahead of us, our ancestors, do have trauma, but it's trauma that we don't even know about that still affects us in our DNA right now.
Yes.
All the women
Yes.
who slaves, they were raped. Their children were torn from them. Their husbands weren't there to support them. They never felt secure. They never had that sense of stability and security that it's very crucial for a mother and a woman, because you need that space to be able to be your full self, to be able to be a mother. So if you don't have security in your basis, I mean, your basic innate body and feeling, it's really kind of hard for you to jump over the loops to the other main basic things in life. If you don't have security in your household, if you don't feel safe, it's not about directly, some people or some men will take that as we're saying that we don't feel supported by our men. No, it's not about that. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, they were raped. That's how we got here. You know, they were so traumatized, and that's where the blockages built up. And so in order to protect themselves in that traumatic and horrific state that they were in, they started to build these blockages. Okay, you know what? I can't be vulnerable. I can't be open. I can't be allowing, because every time I do that, I get crushed. Or even worse, we're thinking about things like, oh, my feelings may get hurt. But back then you would get killed. Our lives were consistently always on a line. Every slave had PTSD because they weren't even human at that point, and that's trickled down in DNA. So if we look at our environment now, even though it's been, I don't know, I'm not the best historian, but has it been what, 400 years, 300 years? That's not that long. If we count back generations, what's that,
No.
4, 5? You know,
Yeah.
so you have to have grace with yourself, knowing that there's some things that you're going to dig in that may not even have came directly from this lifetime. Now, there's a lot of maybe 80%, 70% that did come from this lifetime. But if you're born a Black woman, you're born with this innate feeling that you have to discover. The thing about it is you can always get rid of it. So let's not feel like we're victims, because
Yeah.
we always have self-healing tools. And every belief that you have that maybe you were born with or passed down or et cetera, you can change. So let's just to notate that. But if you're born in a state of insecurity, you're born in a state of not feeling safe, that's just natural, I think, for me. So even as I agree with you generationally, I just want to take that generational insecurity even deeper. It's in your DNA. It's in your DNA. As a Black woman, you have a fear that if you have a child, is this child, even in 2021, I don't know if I want to have a child. I don't know. I'm afraid if I have a son, he may get taken away from me. I'm afraid to teach my children things that are still going on when they're asking the questions. And you, as a mother, you have to figure out a way to try to build them where they feel safe and confident. But you don't even feel that within yourself.
Yes.
So, like I said, this is a 30, 40-minute topic, but it goes so deep. But basis on that, when it comes to dealing with other women, when you don't feel safe and confident within yourself, you happen to attract. Now, I don't know who everybody believe in, but I'm a firm believer in the universal law of attraction. And what happens is, if you look at your spouse and you look at him and you see him super insecure about a whole lot of stuff, and then you look at your girlfriend and you see her super insecure about stuff, your best friend, or you look at anybody around and you're like, and you're pointing out their excuse, like, he get on my nerves. Every time I leave the house, he's, where you going? Da 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 da. Or your girlfriend, she come in, and every time you're trying to get dressed to go somewhere, she's like, girl, does this look right? Does my butt look big? Do my makeup look pretty? Do I look? And you're like, girl, get it together. You're okay. Have some confidence. You attracted those people. So just take a moment to sit on that. You attracted those people. It's not a judgment, but it's a reflection. Oh, let me think about that. I attracted all these insecure people in my life. Where did that come from? And it always turns back to you. So and it may not be the exact form, or you may have figured out a way to build confidence in this area, but never touched on these other deeper levels of areas, but it always comes back to you. So when you're not trusting of a woman, that's because you attracted women in your life unconsciously. It's not a blame game. It's just a discovery game, but you attracted women in your life who hurt you because you didn't trust yourself that you were going to be able to discover the type of woman who are going to support you. And so you carried on that. something that happened to you 15 years ago, your best friend, I mean, I don't know. Well, we're way older than 15. So I'm going to go back 25, 30 years ago. And
Yeah.
maybe you're in middle school and maybe you had a crush on a guy, and maybe your girlfriend, who maybe at the time she didn't like how bold you were, and she went to him and she held his hand, and you were so hurt because you confided in her that this was your crush. And she was like, well, that's your crush. I'm interested too. And they're kids. And from then you took that experience in that moment. You was like, I can't trust women.
Yeah.
You know, but when you can't trust women, you are a woman. You can't trust yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my take on like looking at that and experience that. Also this idea that I don't need nobody. Oh,
I was just thinking about that.
oh my God, Black woman, stop. You do.
Yes.
You need a man or a woman or whatever you choose, because you know it's different in life, but you need a support system. You need girlfriends. You need a community. You need people. Like, girl, and I may let you touch on that because you know I'll get on my whole soapbox and go for hours. I'm like, calm down. What do you mean you don't need nobody? I got this. I'm strong. Honey, I've been an independent, strong Black woman for a long time. But then when I realized how hard I made my life from trying to be so independent and not having it's women around. Even just this relationship that me. So just a little background on me and Rashida. She was my babysitter.
I'm still
Years.
young.
I mean, it's just so funny. But literally years ago, we've been knowing each other lifetime since I've been knowing her since I was about 8 or 7, and
Gosh.
and I know for us to develop, and as we got older, we both are very passionate about helping people in our communities. We have 2 different lines of focus, but the gift that we think that God gave us to really try to support and help others around us, we share very passionately and very deeply. So we're support, but just as an example, I knew I needed some support. She knew that she needed some support. And so we developed our relationship, and it expanded upon a long existing relationship, but we knew that we needed a support system, somebody that we could confide in, somebody we could be vulnerable with. We're both certified coaches, we have clients, but we come back like, girl, I don't know what to do with this client, because we needed that support system. And a lot of times, if you identify with other Black women, you need that support system with your sisters because they can relate to the issues that are pertaining solely to your group, you know? So all this, I don't need any new friends. That's ridiculous too. You're growing consistently every day, and you want to hang on to the same energies that you've had forever. I mean, like,
when those energies were not maybe beneficial to you in the first place.
mm-hmm. Yes. Holding on to that attachment to the past. I think that's a big deal for a lot of women. We're like, it's my best friend. I know I can trust her. I know I can rely on her. But it's like, that's fine. I'm not ever I love my friendships that I've had for 20, 30 years or plus. But I consistently always am open. I'm like, God, please send me more people, women, men, human beings who are more enlightened, who are even smarter than me in some areas or have more expertise or experience, because I want to grow and I want to expand my circle. Because the more I expand, the more I'm able to receive the blessings that are there for me. I'm not closed off. I'm not shutting off from that. I'm not going to cut off my abundance I'm getting from life. And so that whole, I don't trust anybody else, or, you know, and I'm going to excuse me, I'm not going to try to curse on the channel, but you can't trust bees. That's like a standard for a lot of my friends. And I'm just looking at them like, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Off my soapbox, back to you.
Well, you know, it's people you can't trust, but you you need to realize why you surrounded by people you can't trust
in the first place.
What is it in you that lets you be around people that you can't trust? And
see,
you know,
it's all back to you. I agree with that.
The thing you said that resonated with me is like holding on to you know, a past experience with a friend. You know, somebody did you wrong. I used to hold on. I always like to pull my personal experience out because I always want people to know that it's a daily struggle that we all go through.
Right.
So never be afraid of your journey. because your journey is you. And
Yes.
if you made a mistake, it's okay. If you make the same mistake again, it's okay.
Right.
As long as you know you're actively seeking a betterness in you for yourself. So I held on to a girl betraying me in the 5th grade,
Wow. Yeah.
probably up until I turned, 25 or something.
Right. No, seriously,
And
I've
so
had similar situations.
using that betrayal, even when I talk about it, I can talk about that betrayal like it just happened yesterday, because
Right.
it was a very traumatizing betrayal. But using it as a template of how I interact with women and how I view women and how I experience women
Mhm.
led me on a path of attracting, as you say, um, I believe you do attract what you feel, and you do attract how you behave, and you do attract what you believe. If you think everybody's going to lie to you, then you're going to attract everybody that's lying to you. And if
Right.
you think every woman is going to stab you in the back, then you're going to attract every woman that's stabbing you in the back, because your energy is not for those women that's not doing that. And
Right.
so I do agree with you. It is about the energy that you put out is the energy that you receive.
Right.
And so I agree with you in context, and I agree with you from personal
Right.
experiences, knowing that, excuse me, excuse me, excuse
Okay,
me,
clear your throat, girl. You got a lot to say.
knowing that, knowing that is true. It's been my experience in the last 5 years. I guess could even say two or three, that I met a woman when I had finally realized that how off I was to women,
Mm,
and how I was not allowing myself to receive the greatness of women.
mhm.
And as soon as I made that recognition, you know, Allah, God, started bringing women into my life
Right.
that were opposite of what I thought every woman was.
Right.
And so when those women started coming into my life, it was very beneficial. It was very, very freeing, to say the least. So you touched on the whole independent woman thing. I think I have a poem. It's going to come out this month on Instagram and Facebook. I forget the title, but I know a line in there is "Death to the Independent Woman."
Mm,
And people are going to dislike me for this statement. However, death to the independent woman, because that doesn't make any sense. You can be independent and still rely on other people.
right.
You being independent and saying I got to do all this stuff myself is just kind of crazy.
Honey,
And not,
listen, not to
you know,
interrupt you. I mean, like, I'm sorry, because that everybody who start watching me in videos, y'all know that I'm struggling with, I get thoughts and I'd be like, oh, I have to say it
go
right.
ahead and say your
But
thought.
2 seconds and I'm gonna let you get back. Looking at me last night, I was writing and I struggle with the independent woman thing every day. And so last night I was talking to my fiance and I was like, babe, I was writing down, I'm one of those people write down goals and everything I have to do every day, every
Keep
weekend, every day.
talking. I got to step up just a second. I'll be right back.
You're fine. But I was talking to him and I was like, I'm like, babe, as I'm writing down my list of all the stuff I have to do, I'm sitting here with the injury. I just had ACL surgery about 7 weeks ago. So everything is like a challenge in the household. And I had wrote down this whole list of I need to mop my floors and sweep this because I've always operated in that space of not being able to allow to receive help or assistance or support from other people. So even sometime in my own relationship, I still struggle with that. And I tell him, I was like, babe, you know what? We can afford it. Can we just get somebody to come clean this house? Because I'm tired but I had to like sit back and like, Aisha, why are you stressing yourself out? Why are you sitting there? But that's a lack of self-love. Why are you sitting here doing all these things? It takes me all my energy for the day with the injury that I have to do a basic house cleaning that I'm used to doing. They didn't put me out for the rest of the day. I'm like, girl, you could get a house cleaner that comes and cleans once or twice a week or once every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So I can exert the energy that I have doing my work, working, for the things that are important, working on the goals and the assistance that I am supposed to be working towards and giving to other people. So back to you, that I'm just reiterating, and what you're saying, that independent woman, I agree. Like, not that, okay, so I may say I differ in opinion. I don't think that she has to die. I think that she needs to be re-identified. I
Yeah,
think
that's good.
I think an independence is good. I do think you should be self-sufficient and self-supporting, but that doesn't mean that you don't need support of other people,
Yeah.
or support of your community, or support from your partners and your lovers and your friends and etc. Like that's where I take it. Like I'm a firm believer. Hey honey, have you a bank account, have you some savings, take care of yourself, make sure that you can survive by yourself if need be, but don't make that the only way that you have to live, because you're never alone. So
Yeah. Well, proportionate. I do say that in my poem, "Death to the Independent Woman."
I get what you're saying.
Your terminology is you know is better in a sense that maybe it won't make people so defensive.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to be defensive, but like you said, it's just about understanding that women supporting women is an unstoppable for ever moving force
Yeah.
that we don't recognize. I listen to, I read from, I consider her a mentor, a sister named Halima de Oliveira, and this is her whole mantra, and it really, I feel so blessed to even have come into it, because it is about women supporting women, and
Right.
women helping women. So like when I had my daughter, I have MS, and so when I had my daughter, my mom and my mother-in-law, said, offered to help me have, a maid come in every 2 weeks to help me with cleaning and getting things together. And, I said no.
Mm.
I wasn't as free as I am now,
I get
but
it.
I said no. I actually said no. They had to force me to let them do
Yes.
it. But I actually said no, because I was like, I can do it. I can have this baby and clean my house, and
I was gonna say, you the
I was
strong
still
black
on
woman.
a yeah, I was still on a track to prove. It's part of this 5-year track I've been on. Alhamdulillah, all praises to God. It's a 5-year track that I've been on in my transition to come back to Islam. Started 7 years ago, but since I got married in the last 5 years, God has made a way for me to improve and come back even more better.
That's beautiful.
But and so I still was on this, I can do it, I can do it. Girl, I could not do it.
Mhm.
I needed them to come into my
Yeah.
house every 2 weeks. And as she gets older, I still need it. I still have MS, and I still have a new kid. And so none of that has changed. But what has changed is me saying, oh, they're coming. They're finna come on Monday. Okay, I'm not gonna stress out about how
Right.
this floor is looking right now, because they're coming, and I have this gift, and I don't
Right.
have to be the woman who is doing it all. And
Right.
so,
Right.
we still get caught up in it. It's a hard mantra, not to let weigh us down, but it is so freeing when you rest on your sisters, your
Yes.
women sisters,
Yes.
be it wherever they are, whoever they are, whatever culture, wherever they come from. Because I find in my conversations of how do I say recent in a different form, but in my recent conversations with women from different cultures,
Current. Current. No.
current, yeah,
Maybe.
conversations,
Okay.
we all experience the same thing.
Yes.
So we have that trauma from slavery, rape, oppression, And so do other women in other cultures in other countries and other experiences. And if they don't have it directly, they come from a line where it existed somewhere
Right, right.
in their history, in their
Well,
genealogy.
and just to jump off of your topic really quick, that's another thing that's a sensitive topic that most people don't talk about. Most women, I don't know the exact statistics. Please don't quote me on this. But you can Google it and probably find it while we're on this video. But most women have had some form of trauma in their life, um, specifically sexual trauma. And that
We're
in it,
gonna do a whole video on that, girl.
oh, honey, we
Gonna
are.
have to
We're going
plug
to
out
touch
an
on it. And
hour or
we're
so
going to,
on that.
and that one, and that right there in itself, um, that takes some people lifetime to deal with, or it affects their whole life, and it could have happened to them. A lot of times it happens at a younger age, but it not always. A lot of times it happens in your 20s or your 30s, or even some
Yeah.
people have it even older in their 40s, and even from their spouses. I
Yes.
mean, it gets so deep, and like I said, we're talking about topics that literally we could talk about for the rest of the year.
Yeah, because some are worse
But
than others, and some can. Girl,
right.
that's a channel shift we can go through.
Yes,
One thing though,
but
I turned my timer on just you
oh,
know,
where are we at? Where are we
but
at? What time?
so we've gone 30 minutes.
Okay.
Probably maybe because I started it maybe after we were talking about 5 minutes. So we've gone
Okay.
30 minutes. I don't know how long we want our videos to be. I know
We
I
do,
feel like
because
we had some more.
people attention spans, especially in this day and age, are short. And so I know that y'all like, okay, yeah, we get it. And you're over it. So let's wrap up with this.
Yeah.
Um, let's wrap up with some takeaways that we want people to take away from this video. I didn't write anything down. And so I'll say a couple, let you say a few, and if anything else comes to you, and whatever. Um, my takeaways are: identify what you don't like in other women and write it down. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna say pen and paper. If you're really ready to do self work, writing things down is like, it's crucial. Write it down. So you look at things that you don't like in other women, the reasons why you don't develop new relationships with new women, the reason why and write it down and figure out, and then go back and do your self work. Where does that come from? What was the first experience? Who were you at that age? If you're upset about a trauma that happened to you when you were 10 or 12 or 15, you're 35, 45, etc., then maybe you realize that trauma doesn't really affect you anymore because you were 10 or 15 or 35, and you're holding on to something that you decided in a space then, that as a grown woman space, it doesn't serve you anymore. But you're living in that same space and energy and that belief that you created
Yeah.
those years ago. So that may be first. Number two, make an intention to start doing your own self work, work on your own healing, however which way that goes. Just make an intention. That's what I'm doing. I'm focused on me, because in order for me to really develop the best life for myself, it's all inner. So my intention would be, let me go ahead and let me find a support group. Maybe it could be women, another woman, somebody who you admire, somebody you can talk to, somebody who can have some experience in a certain way. Maybe it's your friends. Open up instead of getting on the phone talking about wine and brunch. As much as I love brunch, or our husbands, start to expand those conversations. Talk about your insecurities, because they have them too. Talk about the things that you're scared of, where you're vulnerable, what you're trying to change. It's not that hard. Develop that sense that you're putting yourself first, and every step that you're taking in your life is about creating a better life for you. So I do believe that if you have a strong sister circle, I do believe that if you develop relationships with women, it will help you improve. um but you first have to work with your relationship within yourself,
Yes.
and know that it's okay that if we do feel a certain way now, and it's okay if you still feel that way tomorrow, but identifying that and writing it down and putting it into form where you can articulate it. This is the reason why I feel insecure about this. This is the reason why. So, okay. And it may take you a week, 2, 3 weeks, a month, sometimes a year to actually get rid of that belief. Give yourself grace, give yourself time, and work towards it every day. And then use your community. Stop being independent. That's why we have life coaches like us. Or even some people have a deeper rooted issue. They need a therapist.
Yeah.
Or even if you're like, okay, I can't do life coaches or therapists right now. I'm not ready for that. There's women groups all over. There's support groups, conversations with your mother. But you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. You have to be willing to face your SHIT, period. You have to. Like, there's no other way around it. And that's not always easy or fun. And there could be a lot of tears and anxiety. Things come up because we're dealing with stuff, but it's crucial so that our daughters, so that our nieces and the other woman, the more we heal ourselves, we're healing the people around us. And our DNA, if you really want to go, and that's a whole nother study, but our DNA changes when you start to really heal yourself from the internal soul level. And when you heal yourself, you're also healing the woman around you, whether you know it or not. So that's my takeaway.
Yes, I echo what you said, and I definitely agree. When we start to look at ourselves and how we feel about other women, and when we start to look at ourselves and our insecurities, you have to, relax and give yourself grace, as Aisha said. And you also, I wasn't a good proponent of writing things down. I rejected it at first. I used to write a journal, and I sometimes write in a journal, but that's a little different than actually sitting down and say, hey, I'm going to write what my insecurities are and why. And so I rejected that at first. And I'm just here to tell you, that is how you begin. That's how you see, and that's how you don't even have to read what you wrote again. But when you write it out, it comes from the hidden place in your brain, and it processes through your mind, and it brings it to the forefront so you can deal with it. And so, my thing with my coaching is feel it, deal with it, and heal it. And so you can't heal anything you don't deal with. And acknowledging your insecurities and recognizing them, it's okay. It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to tackle one reason why you're insecure, then discover another reason.
Woo-hoo. Honey, this is look, you're like, I thought I dealt with all this. I'm ready to walk out and be this confident woman. Okay. And then you look up and you're like, oh my God, that person.
Something else. It's okay, because it's especially if you spent years trying to cover up your insecurities, then you're gonna need some time to let them go and to.
Why don't we talk more about that?
Why
didn't we cover? Oh, okay, and we gotta go.
But we had a time frame, and talk about it all day.
That's a whole nother topic. Covering up your insecurities, Rashida. I love that, because I am queen of covering up my insecurities.
Oh yeah.
That is me. Honey, if you see me, if you go on my Instagram page and you see my pictures and you see my posts, and it's not that that's not truly me. It's just that it's easier for me to portray to the world that I am confident, that I got it together, that I am this person. Not that it isn't me, because it is me. I am confident and I do have it together. But honey, there's times that
you're working.
Yes, I'm working on it every day. And every day it's something that comes up. I'm like, oh girl, we haven't even touched on that yet. You know, it's a consistent working process. And the more that I coach and work with other people, the more it heals me, because I'll see things they say within themselves and I'm like, here I am coaching them, and that resonated with me also,
Yes. So that's another thing. It's okay to heal while you're trying to, how am I going to say that? It's okay to use others for your healing.
Yes.
And when we say use, people may connotate that in a negative way, but use as in benefit.
Right.
Receive the benefit of your experience with that other person. Because if something is not benefiting you, then you shouldn't be doing that.
Right. No,
You should
I
let
agree.
go.
And
So
I mean, it's just part of that. It's part of that law of attraction energy. I'm healing
yes,
you, but in turn of me healing you, you're healing me,
yes,
and in return, it just trickles, and this is a trickling effect.
yes,
Well, I don't know exactly who's watching this, but I am so happy that you took out the time to join us today. This is our first, and we're going to start trying to do more live content once a
yes,
week. I'm really happy that you took out the time for yourself to take a time to, hopefully you got something from this video, and just to view it and leave comments below, because we're going to
yes,
post on both of our channels, and tell us what you got from it, what you agree with, what you disagree. We're open to conversation, and just start this space of community development, more or less. Human development,
human
behavior
development.
changes, letting go of limiting beliefs, and because we're all doing this together. You are not alone. There's
Yes.
still stuff that I'm going to get off, like, girl, Rashida said this and this. Okay, write those down. That's what I need to work on.
Yes, yes.
Especially
We're,
that
we're
part
a
about covering the
continually work in
insecurity.
progress. And
Yes,
that's a great thing because that means we're living.
yes,
We're breathing and we're accepting every day. None of our, not denying any of the favors that God is bringing to us. And that's what we want to live in. Acknowledging those favors and not denying them. But we definitely want to be a continuous light, and let us know, comment, give us your opinions, something we need to do better. We are ever evolving human beings, and we appreciate the process.
yes.
Like I say, don't, it's okay to like the video, it's okay to not like the video, because
It's
I think
okay to
there's a
share
thumbs
it too.
down
Look,
on there.
we have to share it too. So if you can, share
Yeah,
it, especially if you think that you benefited from it, or somebody else that maybe can benefit from
yeah.
it also.
So
So
we hope, I pray, that anything we've done has been beneficial. And this is our coach's corner. So look for us again.
yes, definitely.
Um,
And
we're gonna
also,
do this.
just because I'm always trying to make sure that people know that there's support. If you need any support in life and you're interested in doing a consultation for life coaching, Rashida is available, and I am too.
Yes.
And we'll post this on our social media platforms. I'm sure we're recording. We haven't figured out all the links yet, but we will make sure that we have information available for you to contact us in case there's something that resonates with you, or you think that, oh, maybe I do need some assistance in growing in a certain direction, and you need a cheerleader and a coach, and somebody's going to hold you accountable to your self-work.
Yes. So yeah, look below the video, and you'll see links to our social media and coaching sites, or how to get in touch with us. So we'll try to provide that information as well. So we appreciate your time, and Aisha, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate yours. And your daughter's actually, she relaxed a little bit, so that's good.
Yeah, she got on that tablet. She's gonna get mad
Right.
when I
That's
take
why.
it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Have the best time, and I wish you peace and blessings.
Namaste.